All right, guys, it's another episode of Thrive Talks. It's your host Bikram. We got Andrew and we got Jermaine. Guys, today I wanted to talk about youth, right? What does keeping your youth even mean to you, right? Like you have people all over the world chasing youth, whether that's physically, like working out, whether that's, products, something, a pill they can buy, a surgery they can get, you know, or in the form of a diet, Botox. There's just so much out here that people are almost afraid of getting old. And what does old even mean? I guess I'm gonna resort back to the first question for both of you guys. It's what does youth mean to you?
Well, I'll say this. Youth will never mean anything. It will never have any relation to cosmetics to me. Youth is something that you carry within you. It started when you were young and you never got rid of it. So with everything you do, you're having fun with when you're engaging with people, you're engaging with that little child in you. And we're talking about a place where you know how to amuse yourself, stay amused, and enjoy life and enjoy everything. Think of a kid playing. Man, nothing matters to them except that moment. And that's what it is. Live in the moment. That's what youth is to me. Living in the moment with everything you do, with every motion that I put in the gym, with every step I take when I do my steps, I'm having fun inside and out. I'm glowing. I love talking to people. I'm having a good time. All that is coming from a place of youth. Now, how do I chase my youth or how do I keep it? By continuing to feed it, you know? And that's not with cosmetics. It'll never be with cosmetics. It'll only be with information. It'll be with the people that I have around me, that I choose to have around me. It'll be with the activities that I choose to participate in. It'll be with things like that. So to me, that's a loaded question, but that's my answer.
It's good. What about you, Jay? What does youth mean to you?
Youth is just a state of mind.
Mm.
So somebody could be 70 years old and think that they're young. Somebody could be 70 years old and think they're old. Right? It's whatever you think about. When they speak about the fountain of youth,
Mm.
it's a fountain. Continuously pouring into it, just like you spoke about, pouring in drops. Like this cup, same thing. That could be the fountain of youth. Right. So when you're talking about youth, it's just a state of mind. Be like childlike. That means you're willing to grow and accept change. Don't be confined or you have to be shapeless. Like even when Bruce he talks about he's talking about water, be formless,
Mm.
right? Being able to adapt. That water is the fountain of youth. Drink that water. Drink good things. Work out. Provide things for your body. That's how you become youthful. So to me, it's like as you get older, who says that you're old? You're thinking old thoughts.
Mm.
You could be thinking new thoughts. So even if you talk about when they talk about even the Bible, they talk about renewing. Every time is renew. So you're new. Tomorrow you are new. You got rid of old habits. You're becoming new. So youth is something that people think that they can hold on to. But when you're trying to hold on to anything, then you're looking at it like, man, it's leaving. No, it's just embrace the newness of the day, right? Just embrace the newness of the opportunity that's coming. Don't think about the end. Think about the time that you have. So everything to me is about youth. I'm young as far as podcast. I'm young as far as doing certain things, but I'm old. I'm older and more wiser in certain things that I've been doing for years. So if you continue to keep doing new things, you're going to be more youthful. If you hang around with people that are younger, you'll be more youthful. If you go to the gym, you're providing more youthfulness for yourself. That's about getting youth. Now, if you're doing old things, you're not working out, you're not taking in things properly, well, you're older. So if you look at it, a classic is what? A classic is older, but a classic is actually worth more than something that just came out. That's why it's called a classic. So as you get older, you might be 50, 60, you're a classic, but you're not a classic if you didn't take care
Mm.
of you. So now you're just a damaged old you, or you could be the new revitalized new you. So that's youth.
Even when you do say classic, the tapes we look at classics are the ones that really were in the moment, like the most, and they really captured the moment. And then you could listen to that moment 10 years from now, 50 years from now, and it still have that same sense of life. Like you can feel it in the record. Um, I agree with you, Jay. Like, it's a perception. It's your mind. It's not something you can hold on to because everything's changing. I think the cells in our body change every 7 years. We're brand new every 7 years, and but then there's newness in activities. There's newness in doing a podcast. There's newness in picking up a new skill. And you can continuously do new things with our which are youthful. They're youthful compared to older things like Jay was mentioning that really kind of drain you, or you might be over it, or you might have already kind of uh, worked out of that state of mind. And then I feel like one other way to kind of keep your youth is creativity, right? Always staying creative. I believe, uh, especially for me personally, if I'm speaking personally, when I am doing something creative, sometimes I lose track of time and I'm looking at things in a different way. I'm walking around, I'm seeing things, I'm hearing things a different way. I see the same thing, but now I'm imagining 10 different scenarios of this thing instead of saying this is the only way it is. I could perceive it from so many different angles. Like we have this one mic stand in front of us. I got a different view. You got a different view. Jay has a different view, and I can step into each of our roles and actually see this mic stand in a different way. And I believe, Jay gets it more than me. You know what I'm saying? Because everyone's going to Jay like, you 25, Jay? Jay. I mean, we're at a speech at St. Joe's, man. And Jay, he had the hat on, beard jet black, right? He's out there, right? And the kids are like coming up to him after the speech, and they're just like, "Man, like, how old are you? 45?" Like, what? It's like you look like you're 25. You know what I mean? You're doing something right, and I believe it's just a testament to how he lives life, right? It's living in the moment. Now, if you live in the past, you end up stressing yourself. And that happens to us too, right? I might wake up one day and people are like, you look tired. Yeah, because I haven't been living here. My mind been gone. My mind been gone on some past shit, or like, I've been stuck in my head, right? Um, so Drew, like, what role do you think creativity, has in keeping your youth?
I think creativity is a big deal too. That's how you form who you're going to turn into ultimately. But in terms of youth, kids, without even knowing in the moment, they're creative. When they make a picture, they're not artists. They just make it, but they make it based on the way that what they see the world. And in terms, it's art in the end, and it's still creativity. Um, See, I was going to ask you both a question, and I'm just going to try and transition what you just asked into that. At some point, adults forget
Mm.
how to be youthful. I was going to ask you, what point do you think that is? Because, adults, we have heard of adults complaining about adulting, having to pay bills and do that stuff. They're always focused on that. But at what point in their life, whether it was teens, early 20s, do you think that the adult forgot to keep their youth?
This is gonna be fun. It's a good question because now we got different age groups,
Yes.
right? Like Jay, you can start with yours, and then
Oh, you can go. You go first.
okay. Like I believe, like a lot of it is the walls are closing in. That's how people feel, right? It's like I had this dream, but that was 8 years ago, and 8 years just went by like that. And now you're looking around. I see it all the time too. Like I've had friends that are creative, and they would like say, I'm not getting a job. Like I'm just not. You know what I mean? Because what a job represented in their mind, it represented throwing in the towel. And now they're coming to me and like getting a job. It's like, I don't know, I'm kind of sad, right? In my head, it's like, yo, you can balance everything, but not everyone thinks like that, right? Not everyone thinks that I can have a job and still pursue my dream. And maybe some people don't believe in their dream enough for them to actually have a job, right? Maybe they like, we were just talking about how like you're running away from, like, let's say if I'm trying to hold on to this dream and I'm like, yo, I got to spend every second on it, and then that's how much it leaves me because
Mm.
like I'm kind of acting like I don't deserve it, right? So could you rephrase that question again, Drew?
At
Like,
what point do adults
yeah, um,
forget to
I.
bring their youth with them?
It goes so fast. It goes from like, grades, kindergarten, grade school, you're into high school, you still, you're picking these topics. And then for me, I will just thrown into university, right? And you still have that youthfulness. But then I think when it comes down to generally speaking, as far as my experience, I see them like in their middle to late 20s.
Mm.
I see like a kind of like either they're gonna go after that childhood dream that they had, or they take the 9 to 5, the one that supports them, the one that's safe, the one that's gonna get them a home, get them food on the table. Um, and yeah, and like and in the ones that keep their youth are the ones that continuously say, you know what, nothing's going to define me. I don't care if I'm 30 years old. I don't care if I'm 35. I don't care if I'm 38 or 45 or 50. I'm living in the now, and I'm going to create in the
Mm.
now, and I'm going to do everything I can in the now, and I'm not going to be defined by who I was or who you think I was. And those are the people that keep their inner child. But that's what I'd say to that. It's a good question.
What do you think, Jay?
What was the question again?
At what point do you think adults drop their youth and just basically forget that there's still some other portion of life that's fun?
I just think that when you stop learning, you lose you because you feel like you can't learn anymore. So it's like I have people say my age group, they they don't even think about doing anything else.
Mm.
Like they're already stuck, so they're already dead. They're not thinking about what they can accomplish now. They're thinking
Right.
about what has passed. So now they're saying I'm old. I am old. You would never hear me say I'm old. I don't say that.
Mm.
Some people, oh, I'm old. It's like, man, you're 30. What do you mean?
No, I'm wise.
No, I never say I'm old. I'm always like, I don't know how old I am. I might be a teenager. The way I'm like, where I'm thinking, I'm like, it's about how I take care of myself.
Right.
So the youth won't leave. Because how is it going to leave? Because I'm constantly pouring into it. Some people are not doing anything new. They're doing the old things. And then now it's like, well, I'm old. Yeah, because your body's sore.
You
You're
gave
hurting.
up.
You gave up. That's why it's gone. So, but my whole trick is to be around young, developing people because then they get me the youthfulness. I'm like, okay, wow, right there, keep going. So I got to keep going. But if I'm around even a lot of people, even my age group, I don't really like they're all right.
Mm.
It depends how they are, but it's they don't even think about doing anything different. They're already set in their ways.
When do you think that happened for them? Like what? Like because at one point when they were your friend, you did see the spark, right? They had a spark, they had a dream, but then as they got older, like maybe that spark kind of left. What happened?
But the thing is, it's I'm kind of going off the topic a little bit, but we're talking about dreams. We're talking about putting in work. We're putting in desires, and I don't think really people realize how much work you really got to put in.
It's
You know,
lifelong work.
right? So I was reading a book, and somebody might think, "Well, I got to make 10 phone calls, and then it's going to happen." No, you might have to make 100. Like people really underestimate the level of effort that you really got to put into something to make it successful. And that's why, to me, I'm kind of diverting from the question, but that's why people got to do a 9 to 5 because you only work when you're told to work. Like you got to be working extremely hard. So even if you reflect back on the week, how much energy did I put towards my goal? Right? Was it a side hustle?
Mm.
Side hustle means it's on the side. If I do it, I do it. Or is that your main course? Right? It's the main course. It's like you're really putting everything into it. Everything else is on the side. So sometimes when I look at individuals, and I know we're not talking about the youth or whatever, but sometimes when I look at individuals, I say, I want to do this. No, you don't. Because you're going to wake up, every last ounce of energy is going to be poured towards that. If that's not the case, you're not getting there. Like you're not truly getting there. I know what it takes to get to a certain level. It takes a lot of effort, a lot. And the thing is, what you think that you need 10 times more than that. You can't do so. When I talk about the youth, a youth to me is I'm gonna try to bring it back, but the youth is you keep your youth, you keep your energy, you keep your motivation, you keep your passion, you keep your desire, you keep pushing that. And that may never leave. If you have that when you're 90 years old, you're still young in the mind.
Bam.
I don't care if you're 120. Some people have lost their youth when they were 8. There is no timeline of when you lost it, but the timeline is to find it.
Mm.
That's where you should be looking at. And it's like, those are the things when you talk about youth. Some people, I look at some people are young, and I'm like, man, I'll work you all day long. And like, well, I'm younger than you. I said, but you got the energy of someone who's way older than you.
Mm.
So it's not the age, it's not the date. If we got rid of every birth certificate and we did not know how old we are, would it really matter? No, they're just gonna judge you about how you look, how you feel, and what it is. Okay, man, you look, yeah, you might
Or
be
he's got more
25.
gray hair, he's older.
Yeah, like so they're gonna look at what you are. And it's like it's your mindset. Like so a date is what? A birth certificate is what? That's why sometimes when you even somebody that comes from Africa, you don't know how old they are.
Yeah.
They could be 32, 42, or 22. How old are you? I don't know. Right? Because we ain't been keeping track of that because we don't care. We don't care about how old we are. It's about what you're doing. Tupac died of how old? How old when he passed away?
24?
Yeah, he was young.
Yeah, mid
He was in
20s.
his 20s.
Yeah.
He lived a life longer than people that are 75. It's about what you do with the time. Right? That's the
That's a
both of
good
you.
point.
Don't use the time. So if you're 30 something years older, you didn't do nothing. The time you're being used by the time. You're not using the time. So if you're doing, say for example, and I know I'm going on a different direction because I want to talk about it. If you're talking about podcasts and you talk about whatever it is that you're doing, you better know that this is going to be extremely hard.
Yeah.
And if you think it's going to be easy, I've never seen someone who's going to build a $1 billion business, $1 million business, and doing it part-time. I never seen that before.
Right.
They went all in. The people that went in the NBA, they went all in. They didn't say, I'm going to do this a little bit. I got time. I got a little time. And then you wonder why you're not going to be successful because you're not pouring everything into it. And you might pour everything into it and still not be successful. But that's the chance you take, right? That's the chance you take when you're doing something that's so extreme. But we know for one thing, if you're just doing it a little bit, that's going to do the bare minimum. How come I'm not the number one podcast in the world? Because you're just doing the bare minimum. You're just doing the bare minimum.
Right.
That's what you're doing. You got to be obsessed of what we're doing, right? So that obsession gives me my youth because I'm so obsessed. I'm like, man, I am a young boy. I don't know shit. I don't know nothing. Even though that I'm 45 in age, but I don't know nothing about what I'm trying to learn right now. So I must look at it, absorb everything, and then that's what a young kid would do. That's what a baby would do. He looks, he absorbs, he applies. Someone who gets older, they say it's too hard, it's too long, and they quit. And then they look for a reason why it's not successful. I want to be a creator, because this is the kind of topic I kind of want to talk about, but even if you ask your friends and they say, okay, I want to be a creator, how much are you creating? Are you really going at it? Are you just doing the bare minimum? Because sometimes I'm looking at someone who's a creator or whatever they're doing, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, bro, there's people that are working and doing that and they're outworking. They're doing that and this and this and that and that. And they're still putting in more work than you doing that on something that you want to make full time. No, if you want to treat it like a hobby, then it is one. But don't act like, well, man, I want to just do bare minimum and then I'm gonna be the top businessman in the world. How? That's ridiculous. Even to say it out loud is ridiculous. So in your mind, calculate every hour that you spent towards this thing. If I'm doing a podcast for the week, trust me, I've been learning. And it's like, and if you haven't been learning, it's going to show.
For sure.
Right? It's going if you put in let me just think about a couple hours this week. What's going to show compared to the person that said about 40. He been think his mind been on this, thinking about how he's going to produce this, how he's going to promote this, what he's going to say, what he's going to do. Wow, he's staying out. Yeah, because he's putting in some work. And then the person that's just, okay, I just got to do something so that they won't get mad. It's not enough. So that's in life. Do more. I've always in my life, and I know I digress from what we're talking about, but in my life, I've always put more than I ever received. That's it. I know the input is the most important thing. You got to put all that into it. And even as a youth, the reason why people lose their dreams or their hopes, because they didn't realize their hopes and dreams took a lot of. They didn't
Right.
realize that. I want to be a basketball player, but I want to only play when I want. I want to be I want to make movies, but when I got time.
Yeah.
I want to be the greatest cook, but I don't really want to learn any new recipes. You know, this is too much work. So that's my thing. You know.
Love it. For me, I think so when people are younger, they're doing their thing, then they grow up and they get distracted. So these adults that I say, remember I asked when they lose their youth, it's when you get into high school and you start seeing girls and you start seeing boys if you're a girl, because I was never affected by boys, but it's when Megan or Terry is having a house party and you decide you're going to go along with that. So now you're into this now. Now drinking has become your new toys. Now things that are never going to help you later on in life, or you're not going to be able to build off of. Things that have no value at all, that are not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. Now these things have taken over your little dream of flying an airplane when you were a kid. So for me, I keep my youth by replacing the toys that I used to play with bigger things. So when I used to play with the Power Rangers, I replaced it with a podcast. When I used to play with little dinky cars, I replaced it with chicken business. When I replaced, anything I was doing back then, I replaced it with big boy things that are going to build my future for my kids and for the people around me. Things that are going to affect the guy next to me who's inspiring. I'm low key inspiring him without him telling me that. He just goes up and does something because of something I did. Now, wouldn't you say that is the greatest damn toy that you could ever play with?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So adults need to look at them in their own life. When did I put the toy down and replace it with a bottle? When did I put the toy down and, just kind of give up and just blah, blah through life? Like, man, I remember I used to have a job like all the time on a regular basis, but I had multiple jobs. Why? I kept quitting. You gotta learn when it's you and not the job. Doesn't matter what the problem is or how mean those managers were. You kept quitting. That was the pattern, and that is it. And once you settle that and you come to that you come to that conclusion in your head, you realize you are the weakest link. You got to fix yourself. You got to figure out why you're quitting. Why is it you're quitting? Is it because you had no work ethic? Because your parents never taught you that shit? These are the things you got to work out. But the one thing I know is I kept my youth by replacing my toys with bigger things.
Yeah. See, like the way I be seeing it from even when you guys are mentioning, talking about age and youth is age is just an image. Like, it's just an image. So when I'm like 15 years old hanging out with my friends and we're looking at other 30-year-olds, we're like, yo, they lost it. They don't got the mojo no more. They're old. And that's how we see them because that's what we perceive them as, right? And as we get older, then we start doing the same thing with people that are about to retire. At 60, your body starts breaking down. It's, you're about to retire now, right? Like that's the image we see. So that's how far our brain really takes us, right? If I didn't have the privilege to have these conversations with you, or maybe Jay say something that really expanded my mind, or Drew say something that really expanded my mind, I'd be having the same old conversations and being in the same old predicament because I'm thinking the same old thoughts that got me in the same old spot. So if I really want to, change something, I probably have to change the people I'm around, the things I'm taking in, what I'm watching, what I'm, and like Jay just said, like if you don't, if you're not learning, it's gonna show, right?
right? So it's youth is you want to learn. But I always looked at it as this: I want to have a wisdom of a 90-year-old, but I want to have the youth of a 10-year-old.
Mm.
Right? That was my thing because I want both. Some people are older and their body is breaking down, but they still act immature. They're still acting like children. They're still gossiping. They're still pointing fingers. They're still going through the same things when they were younger, and they never worried to deal with it. Now they're bringing them to the surface now. So are you really older? Yeah, you are older in age, but you're not older in experience. Right? You should learn from that. And then you might have someone who's younger, and he wants to sit around like he's older. Right? Doesn't matter. He might be 12 years old, but he doesn't want to go outside, and he doesn't want to exercise, and he don't want to do anything either. So he wants to act like someone who's old. So when does it really happen? When does the change happen of youth? It starts with your mind. My whole thing is when I'm okay, I'm 45 years old now, but I thought about being young when I was 8. I knew people were gonna fall off a long time ago. When I was 12 years old, I was like, yeah, these guys drinking. I said, "Damn." I said, watch when I get to 45. I'm gonna be good.
Mm.
Right? I've been thinking about these things. I've been thinking about, okay, the longevity. I wanted to be 7 years old, and I still want to be out there in shape, 80 years old in shape. I've been thinking about those things a long time ago. So, but the reason why I was able to think about those things long time ago is because I was with someone who was way older. And I'm like, man, I like the way how you kept yourself up. How do you do that?
Mm.
Well, I did this and this and this and that. That's how you do it. Okay, cool. Even though I'm young, but I'm now having a conversation with someone who's older. So at that now, when I'm around the youth, it's like I am older than them.
Right.
We're the same age, but not the experiences I had. I took my man's knowledge, who's older, and now I'm applying it at a younger age. So it's like, hey, this guy's moving different. Like he seemed like he's older. No, but I've been having older conversations.
Mm.
And then if I need some youth, guess what? Then I'll go around someone who's 3, 4 years old and grab the youth. They're like, man, you're acting young. I said, yeah, because I grabbed some stuff from a young boy, right? You have the ability to be whichever you want. You
Mm.
got the ability to adapt to whoever you want to adapt to. The youth means that you're able to change. You're not confined. You're not restricted. And when you start learning that, it's like, man, I could be anybody I want.
Mm.
Man, like tomorrow I could come back and I'm like, hey, I'm just somebody different.
Right.
That's why I always tell myself, I said, I am the hardest worker. I am. No one can outwork. Well, maybe they can. I said, well, if I keep saying I am, I'm going to live up.
Absolutely.
They can't. And I don't care if you're 12 years old, 20, 25, I'll work you 30. It doesn't matter because it's a mindset. It's not limiting myself and saying because I'm this age, I can't let this guy outwork. Well, he's supposed to, right? That's a limiting factor. So sometimes we limit our factor because of age. Oh, he's too young. That's a limiting factor.
Mhm.
He's too old. That's a limiting factor, right? Because he's too young. He can't think like that because it's too much for him. He's just a young kid. No, some kids are 10 years old think better than someone who's 40. Their mindset is different. Talk to them like, wow, this person's like, they got it. And then you talk to someone who's maybe 30 years old, and you're like, man, you're acting like you're 10, man. Like you got to clean this up, right? So youth is what? Everybody is a different age, even though they might be the same age. I might go to you and someone might be 45 and I'm 45, but I'm thinking totally different than that 45-year-old.
Mhm.
So an age is just an age. It's your mindset. It's what you do. It's who you hang around with. It's everything that you're doing in your life. That's going to keep your youth. You can't keep it, right? And people don't understand. It's like, well, I want to keep my youth. But what are you doing to keep it? Are you doing anything to keep it? Are you going to the gym? You exercising? Because it is a battle against your age. I thought in my head, I said, I want to be 70 years old in great shape, but I want to be wise like I lived 1,000 years.
Hell yeah.
That means I'm unstoppable because I still can do stuff physically, but my mental is a whole different galaxy. So that's what I look at. Sometimes we look at youth so much about the physical aspect.
Mhm.
We always look at youth as physical aspect, but we never think about the brain, never
Mm.
think about the mind. We never think about is the mind being youthful or is the mind old. They just look at, oh yeah, you look old, or you look old, you're broken down. But it's the mind young. I'd rather keep the mind young than the body young.
Yeah.
I'd rather keep the mind sharp than the body good and the mind dull. Sharpen the mind. Once you start sharpening your mind, then everything starts coming to fruition.
Absolutely.
See, like, society has us that thinking about the physical. If you look at, like, everyone's trying to use Botox and stuff, but who's talking about that one app that's gonna retain your youth and your mental? You know what I mean? It's all physical. And then they flash all this money in front of you. Like, it's all like it's in the system though. Like, if you're looking at it, like, went to school and you went to university, then what do? You get a job, get a nice car. Every billboard that you see is nice things, diamonds. It's a new skin for your Fortnite character. I don't know, but it's all physical things. There's rarely is anyone really telling you to evolve your mind. Rarely is anyone ever telling you that's how you retain your youth. And I believe people, like, let's say everybody here thought like that. Everybody was 50, but with a 50-year-old body. Well, not even 50-year-old body, but they've been here for 50 years, but also have the youth of a 9-year-old, or like able
Mm.
to have the expansive thoughts of a 15-year-old. That'd be really one unstoppable race.
Just to go off something you said earlier, you mentioned Tupac. He lived a fuller life than a 75-year-old. Imagine, and see, that's the thing. There's a stigma behind getting old. Getting old is not a terrible thing. You're getting more experience. You're getting more, wise. You're getting wiser. Now you're in a position where you can guide the people below you, where you can help them avoid the mistakes that you made. And so imagine Tupac having all that wiseness. Would it have saved his life? Would he still be here? It's possible. Maybe he wouldn't have been rolling around with Suge, things. That's what I mean. Having that wiseness and that ability to think on your feet, and especially understand where you're at in the moment. Like, he was rich, but he was just living and having fun and kind of careless, right? Um, but imagine he had the moment or the wherewithal to be able to say, "All right, I'm here. What can I do? How can I do this better?" If he had all that, I
Mm.
don't think he'd be gone. And I think
Right.
that goes for a lot of people.
And the thing is, if we talk about people are trying to keep the youth,
Yeah.
right? But I don't have to retain something I never lost. Never lost,
Mm.
right? So what we saying? I never lost my youth, so I don't got to go find it. Some people gonna lost who their self, lost their identity, lost everything about themselves as an individual. So they're trying to look for it and search for it. But when you search for it and you look for it and you're looking at all the external, then you got to look in your internal and say it's never been lost. It's always been here, right? Your youth always been here, but you suppressed it. You got rid of the dream that you wanted or you desired because it was too much pain. It was too painful. It took too much hurt to
Mm.
get there. It took too much,
Yeah.
right? You didn't want to go through you didn't want to go through the jungle, but you knew at the end of the jungle was your pride, was
Mm.
your treasure.
Mm.
So sometimes you're gonna have to go through something as a youth, and then you're gonna feel like you're old, but then you got to go back and find where the youth what left.
Right.
We're not saying that it's never going to be here, right? It's like motivation. Like tell about motivation. Sometimes you lose it, but discipline is going to be how you find it. So you can find your youth. You just got to start doing youthful things. If I want to be youthful, I do youthful things. I act like a child, but not a child in the mind, child in the body.
Mm.
Then it goes back to keeping your creativity. You're going to keep your creativity because you never lost it because you've been applying it. You don't lose a body that you've been working out on because you've been maintaining. So if you don't maintain your youth, and that doesn't mean just physically, mentally, then you're going to lose it. Because like they said, if you don't lose it, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep.
So some people have lost their youth because you want to do grown things and you didn't go back and do the things that made you a child at one point in time. So youth is just a state of mind. Youth is saying, I want to learn more than I learned about yesterday.
Mm.
My youth is, I want to know more than I know.
Mm.
My youth is now, it's like I'm getting older, but I'm embracing it because it's an opportunity that I'm being able to live. Like some people look at it, oh, he's getting old. I'm like, man, you should be happy because isn't that the destination? Wasn't that the desire that people wanted?
Right.
Because if you didn't get a chance to grow older in age, then you might not have learned a certain thing that you would have picked up on the way to getting older. So I never look at it as like, man, that's a bad thing. That's like, no, it's a good thing if it's used properly. Yeah, the physical may deteriorate somewhat, but the mind will stay sharp.
Mm.
When you mentioned that, the kid thing came right, like zooming into my mind because when a baby is learning to walk, like I rarely ever heard of a baby that didn't learn how to walk. That baby will fall down 100 times, 1,000 times, 5,000 times. I don't know, but it keeps getting up. It keeps having the resilience, and it keeps moving forward, and eventually it walks. And I feel like that's the same mindset we should have towards our dreams and our aspirations. We're gonna fall down 100 times, 1,000 times, and but having the resilience of a baby, like no matter what, I'm gonna get up. And I don't even remember it being hard. Like it's not like I look back at it like when I was a baby, like damn.
No,
That,
but it's that baby is now taking upon himself to find another solution,
yeah,
right? And then if I'm going to bring it back to why we called it, what I called my stuff, thriving solutions, because just because you have one solution doesn't mean that's the final one.
Hmm.
You may now have to find another solution, and then another solution, and then another solution, and another solution. So we're not saying that's the final solution. No, we're thinking about that's one solution getting me closer to the solutions.
right, right. But it's a way of mind.
It's a way of
Yeah,
mind.
like the one solution is not gonna be the next
It's
solution,
not
but you're always thinking solution based.
always solution based because if you look at it this, you got a baby, he's growing up. He has everybody had at one point in time determination. Everybody at one point in time had persistence. Everybody at one point in time had a light in their eyes. Everybody at one point in time experienced joy. Where did it leave? Right? Because we all started with it, but we didn't keep it. And the reason why we didn't keep it because we didn't pour into it.
Hmm.
So now that cup is dry. So in order for you to keep your persistence, to keep your youth, to keep your things, you must pour into it. If we don't pour into the podcast, a month later it'd be gone just like how fast it came. If you take it lately, it'll be gone just as fast as it came because you're not pouring into it. Like nobody cares what you did yesterday. No one cares what you did last month. No one cares about any of that. They care about what you're doing at the present moment.
Hmm.
So at the present moment, I am youthful. At the present moment, someone else may be old, but I'm doing youthful things. And exploring is now how I regain the youth. But I'm not regaining anything because it's already been in me.
I just want to point out, you said something about the baby. So when the baby falls down, it's their attitude. They never say die. They keep going and keep trying. That's what gets them walking. And that's the same thing we got to apply to us ourselves as adults. I think a lot of adults make the mistake of judging how old they are and who they are in life based on their financials and
Based on other
based on other
But I'm
people.
going to give you another jewel about a baby. A baby has a persistence to keep getting up. But a baby is not vocal. Baby can't talk. So baby just listens.
Mm,
As we become adults, we don't want to listen no more
yeah.
because we don't think we're a baby. And to me, I'm always a baby. Whoever I'm going around, I'm taking knowledge. I'm saying, yeah, you are my teacher. You are my parent. And I am your student because I want to be youthful and I want to learn more. So when you're looking at a baby imagine if a baby could vocalize what he was saying. Baby might be like, nah, I ain't doing this no more. Might say that. But a baby doesn't like, I don't understand what you're saying. Just get up and go do it. Right?
Bro, gangster. No, I ain't about to do that.
Like I'm gonna keep going till they hear me, man.
Nah,
I'm gonna keep going.
Because a baby wants to get noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? A baby, if you do everything for a baby, the baby won't do nothing for itself.
Yes.
That's just how we are as adults. A baby's climbing up the cupboards, the counters to do this because you know what? He started waiting on you. He's starting on waiting you for doing what you're supposed to do. So that's the same mindset that I've tried to apply in life and saying, if I ask a person to do something and they can't get it done, you best believe I'll be like a baby and I'll learn how to, because I won't need that situation anymore. Right? A baby doesn't allow himself to be captive.
No.
Right? He doesn't do it. He's figuring out a way that he could be self-sufficient in life. And as adults, sometimes we start looking for the handicap or the crutch to be lazy because we don't want to learn and we don't want to use our youth. That's when we lose it. You lose it when your mind changes to the negative, because someone who's young has a mind of positivity and optimistic. And when you start being negative, I know now that you're becoming an adult.
Absolutely, man. You got any more questions, brother?
No, I'm just it's not even a question. I guess like I'll be writing notes here and there, but like even an artist, right? It's like whatever's happening, like whatever's artist, like you're just in the moment completely. And I agree. I agree, and I love this conversation when it does talk about retaining your youth, and because it's a dear subject to me as well, right? I want to keep my creativity and keep it thriving and keep having new ideas. But the only way that's going to happen is if I keep doing new things and I keep challenging myself, and then even have these conversations and these reminders on what to do and what not to do. Um, just to help you being on your journey, and us being called Thrive Talks. I guess that is the not even I guess I know that is the purpose of it. So when you hear it, you get some value. You get to take something home with you. You get to maybe look at the situation a different way.
I want these people to take this home, because we're talking about keeping our youth, and a lot of adults they tend to just watch other people live their lives when they should be living their own. My uncle used to say, "People die before they stop breathing." That is a choice. You have to ask yourself, where do you stand? You have to ask yourself, who am I right now to myself? And some people will say, well, I'm a paramedic, I'm a fireman. They're using their job title to explain who they are. But who they really are without that title is still up in the air. They don't know who they are. No one knows who they are. Most people don't. So as for the people out there to take something from this, do some self work. Ask yourself who you are and don't talk about your job title. Who are you without it? Who are you? Who have you been? And are you watching other people live? Are you living? You have to ask yourself those questions. That's how
Yeah.
you grow.
Yeah, because these things are just toys.
Yeah.
Everything's a toy. I got a house, I got a car, I got to do this. No, but strip it all down and who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Who are you as an individual? What's your character? A lot of people that got the toys, they got this, and they're not made of much because they're using their toys to protect them. So the toys cannot protect you. So when we're talking about youth, think about youth is you never lose it. You can keep it. And then think about this. Most people, when you talk about when you think people lose their youth, they say sometimes. I listened to one guy and he said at 27, they died at 27, but they lived at 72. You were here, but you were gone. How many times does people say, "Well, I can't do that. I'm older. I can't."
They wrote themselves off.
Right? They always say, "I can't." I've never said I can't do anything. I can. You give me enough time, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. I don't care. I mean, literally, what it is. I'll figure it out. But my work ethic and my application of it and my consistency will end up beating the person who already knew it. Right? You gotta look at yourself and say, am I young in mind or am I young in body? I'd rather be young in body, but I don't want to be young in mind. Because that's not wisdom. Right? When you look at someone who's younger, they may be 12 years old, like, man, that kid has a lot of wisdom. He's still young physically, but mentally, he's just on a different level.
Mm.
That's what we should be striving to do. Forget the outside appearance and I work out because I want to just feel good. I work out because I want to challenge myself. I work out because I want to beat my best self from the previous day. And I was working with a guy, and I'm kind of, sometimes I go off, but I was working with a kid yesterday. He's like, "Yo, what do you think when you come in the gym?" I think about beating these weights up. I think about these weights thinking, man, why is he coming back? man, he just keeps coming back again.
Depressed weights.
Right? Why don't he just stop? Why don't he just stop?
Leave me alone.
Right? He keeps coming in here, he keeps lifting them, and then he wants to lift more. And he wants to lift more the next time. And I know what time he's coming because he never misses. I know what he's going to do. That's why I tell people. I said that's what the way should be saying about you.
Hell yeah.
If you're not putting in the work, don't keep putting out your hand, man. There's been a lot of times where people put out their hand, but they didn't want to put the work in. They didn't know what it really required, right? So it's like, and then someone can say, "Well, I'm young." It's like, well, if you're young, then you should have more energy. So stop it.
Mm.
Then if you say you're old, then you should have more wisdom. So stop it. Quit telling me excuses. And that's the same thing I tell myself. I said, I'm coming to the gym to keep being young because I'm going to keep going. I will be lifting weights and going to the gym until the last dying day. Even if I'm in the hospital, I'm going to try to lift something because I need to get better. And when you think like that, then that's when you are young because you could be 99 years old thinking, I'm going to get a little bit better tomorrow. But the person who's actually dead is 99 and saying, I'm getting worse than I did the day before. That's how you keep the youth.
So when we're kids, we have that youth and we continuously get up until we get to walking, right? It's persistence, we have the resilience, we have all those traits. As we get older, we have a dream. And that dream, now, as you mentioned, Drew, sometimes people let go of that dream. A lot of the times people let go of the dream. And that's because when they keep hitting a wall, they just go, you know what? I can't get past it. One day they put down the I remember seeing this photo. I don't know if we've talked about it before, but it's like the guy going for the diamonds, right? And he has his pickaxe and he's going at it, and there's two of them. And the guy's this close to getting to the diamonds, but he quits and he turns around, you know? And it just goes to show that you gotta keep having that persistence, and that is the youth that you will have. But it's weird because we need the people that say you can't do it. That's the craziest part. You need the people that look at you and be like, yo, bro, you don't got it. Right? The people that gave up on their dreams, you need those so they can fuel you to get the hell up and go get your dream. It's crazy. They're all necessary. The people that say you can't do it is necessary. The people that say you can do it is necessary. And it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, are you gonna keep your inner child? Are you gonna keep your wish? It's not about who said what. It's not about anybody external. It's about what you're saying. You know yourself better than everybody else, so go get it, right? And that's how you keep your inner child and know that it's all necessary. So the bigger the tree, the bigger the shadow. So if you're gonna get people that are naysayers, congratulations, you're one step closer.
I think one of the biggest problems with people is we have a conscience, and the conscience can be a killer or it can be a supportive system. Look at it. Let's go back to kids again. The reason that they're enjoying life and they're able to do what they're doing and learn at a higher rate and in such a beautiful way is because they don't even know they're kids.
Yeah.
They're just chilling. We're adults. We know we're an adult the whole time because our bills say we're an adult. Our rent says we're an adult, all that stuff. And I just want to say, we need to get out of our heads. We need to learn how to embrace just life. There's a timeline, and you're not supposed to stay here. You're supposed to move along with it. And with it comes knowledge. With it comes happiness and things that you're going to do to feed yourself that joy. And I just wanted to point that out because it's such an interesting thing. These kids, they do wonderful things and they don't know they're kids the whole time, but we know we're adults. That's the biggest problem.
Right when you're saying that, I didn't read this pen, but I'm reading it and you say joy and it says enjoy. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Call me an inner child. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
No, we gotta have the joy to continuously do the joy. We gotta have the persistence to keep fighting and keep going at it. And what I noticed too, and I'm not talking about dreams, and we talking a little bit about dreams.
Absolutely.
And dreams to me is, yeah, you have them, but what do you do to acquire them?
Yeah.
Some people just have dreams, just keep dreaming. What are you doing every day? What are you doing? Literally, ask yourself: is this going towards a destination? Is this going to a point, or am I just going all over the place? So to me, it's like sometimes people just lost their dreams, so that you can't even apply. Like People are like, oh, I don't even dream no more. I'm like, well, I have a lot of dreams, man. Right? I have a lot, and I don't want to never to leave. I never want them to leave because in that dream, I'm seeing what I'm going to be.
JJ, what are you eating, Jay?
You know?
Give me the pill, Jay.
Right? So if you look at it like this, some people have lost their dreams. So what is there to chase? There's nothing to chase because the dream is not even there. If you look at a kid, he's always dreaming. He's always dreaming. He's always in his thoughts. He's always seeing. But then after you dream, then you got to start applying.
Yeah.
Right? So everything that you take into life, I could see somebody like, you didn't get any better. And I'll be honest with you, like, you didn't get any better. Why not? Because you didn't do anything all week. You didn't get any better. You didn't read anything new. You didn't listen to anything new. You didn't do anything new. You didn't do anything new. You didn't do anything new. So you're just the old version of you. Every time you got to think about renewing yourself. I said, you know what? I renewed myself because maybe I read a book because I took the time because I said, okay, I'm going to read this book because I'm going to use something for this podcast. It's going to spark something. I said, so being new is learning something new, not learning old. You know, you're learning, some people are learning old all the time and wondering why they're in the same situation or same predicament because you keep doing the old things. Do something new. Then as you do something new, then you keep your youth because you're always improving. You know, Michael Jordan's, if you look at Michael Jordan's, for example, his first pair of Air Jordans, if he sells them now, they're more than they were before. But it's the same shoe because it goes up in value as time goes. If we're looking at houses, as the time goes, the house goes up in value. So invest in things that's going to go up in value, not things that's going to diminish in value. So if every day you're putting in things that's not adding to your value because you might be running around with some female, you might be going over here, I don't know what you could be doing anything. If it's diminishing the value, then you need to get rid of it because every time you should be putting deposits on what's going up, what's sustainable, and what can help me in the future.
Well said, Jay.
We can do this, I guess, cool little activity to wrap things up. But maybe each one of us can go through something someone in the audience could do that is, that might spark their inner child, right? Or add youth, you know? So I'll just start, for example, a couple days ago, I had I just felt like, I was just working, just, kind of being a machine. And I decided to get up and hit the country, go into some nature, right? When I got there, I didn't want to leave, but it's a beautiful thing to just kind of be in your own thoughts, like put the phone away, put everything away, and just be in nature and take in that new experience, feel the water, go by yourself if you want, and just you take a walk, right? Hear the birds, and just relax. That's what I would say. What about you, Drew?
You kind of took it out of my mouth because Tuesday I'm leaving to do the same thing. I'm calling it a self vacation. Basically, that's what it is.
Selfcation.
Selfcation. Yeah. So I'm not gonna just talk about that because you basically said it. But are you doing enough? Ask yourself these questions because these internal questions, followed by your internal answers, are the only thing that's going to get you out of this. You have to ask yourself the question. You have to face it. Am I doing enough? Am I watching other people live? Where do I stand? Am I filled with joy? Do I have happiness in my life? Am I grateful for any damn thing that I actually have? And once you come to that conclusion in your mind, you'll be able to start searching. Okay, sifting. Okay, now I need to book a trip. Now I know I've fallen short here. I'm going to do something sporadic, out of the blue, and I'm going to do it for me. And that's exactly where you got to come from in order to make true change in yourself and keep that youth.
What's the question?
Just anything someone in the audience could, listen in on this and be like, I could try that.
In order to keep it, or in order to get youthful, surround yourself with youthfulness.
Yeah.
If I wanted to be in shape, I surround myself with people in shape. If I want to be in business, I surround myself with businessmen. If I want to be an athlete, I surround myself with athletes. It's very simple. Surround yourself with outside things that you see youth and then join it. Go to the school. A lot of times I worked at the school. So I was working with youth all the time. I couldn't think, oh, you guys are just younger. I got to get into the mind of someone who's younger.
Mm.
I have to. Because how do I connect? I can't connect by saying I'm an adult and you're a child. No, I got to act like a child for me to connect with the child. I got to act like an adult to connect with an adult. So as you're surrounding yourself with youthfulness, you take on you end up being youthful, right? Never limit yourself. You see the people that love children, they're always youthful. You notice it, they're always youthful because they're a child at heart. When I see them like doing stuff, I'm like, man, that's cool, man. Right? I'm not saying, well, man, you grow up. Stupid. Embrace that because that makes you who you are.
Mm.
That makes you be the creative individual as you are. And that's when I'm looking at it, say if I'm seeing as someone who's youthful, I'm saying, what can I gain? What can I gain from them? I like the way they're doing these things and why they got the craziest imagination. Dang, I want to keep that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things I try to keep. So when I tell people, I said, man, sometimes we're doing something, I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it already. I know you can't see it, but this is my thing. If I can see it, now it's all about the application. The same thing a kid. A kid sees it. He sees the dream. But who came in and wiped the dream away? That's what you gotta ask yourself. Now, did they lose it or did someone else make them lose it? They might have came up to their parents or their teachers or whatever and say, I mean, I want to be an astronaut. And someone might say, what are you talking? You can't be no astronaut. That's when that's when you lose your youth. I've never lost my youth because I know I can do anything I want. I don't care if someone says, well, you're this age, you can't do it. And it's like, what are you talking about? I can't. The same way as a kid, I never let you take it away from me. Sometimes people have taken away your youth and you didn't even realize it because your eyes were closed. Sometimes your feelings or your reactions are because of not you, it's because of somebody else implanted. That's not you. Those are not even your thoughts. But they got in your head and they changed you from a youth to an adult. And now you're trying to find a way to get back to the youth.
And what is an adult too? You know what I mean? It's a word they really gave us. As far as I know, I'm alive. You know what I mean? And if you're alive, you have your youth. Like I don't want to be walking around dead out here with no possibilities, no limits, right? So you got to think. End of the day, we're kind of born into a system, and this is the truth. This is just the truth, and there's a way the world has worked before we got here. They have there's a reason why you go downtown and you see 20-year-olds. There's a reason. I mean, it's all in the system. There's a reason why people get married and have kids around 30 or 25. There's a reason for it. So I just know that just don't be defined by those definitions that were here before you.
But the thing is, the problem is not even the definitions that are here before us, it's the definition that we put on ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the only one that matters.
That's
Yeah.
the only thing that matters. You can define me any way I want, but
Mhm.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if someone asks me, what do you do? I said, I don't know. I do it all. I do a lot. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. I said, I'm doing some podcasts and business stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of everything,
Mhm.
right? Because there is no definition.
Yeah.
One day I might be the speaker. Next day I might be the mute. One day I might speak loud on the mic. The next day I'll come with a whole different flow and I'll speak in soft. Right? It's all about what's required at the time. You become whoever you want. If I need to be a youth, I will be one if I'm going around youth because I got to interact with them. But if I'm around all older people, then I might be like an older person because I got to interact with them. Youth is just what you say it is. I am young.
Mm.
Right? I am. That's why when you put anything out there, you say you are. I am.
Yeah.
I am already. That means I'm celebrating what I'm already am. I'm already a billionaire. I'm already am. I'm just figuring out what car or what house I want as I am.
When I came out the gate with the wings, I set the bar right away. I said, I'm a king of wings. I did that right off the bat. People were like, you're crazy. You're not king of shit. You didn't do nothing yet. I'm like, I just am. As simple as that. I'm king of wings. Nobody else in the city offers what I offer. I'm the fucking king. And that's just it. And so I kept putting that out there. And then they put me on some list. They put me second place. But I know but I'm still the king because my wings are healthier than everybody else's.
Right?
So I won. I fucking won. I'm the little guy surrounded by kings and giants, and I freaking beat them all. And they're, it is what it is.
See, the thing is,
I was a king from the jump, though. That's
for
what I'm
sure,
saying.
For sure, you were definitely a king from the jump. And I'm not going to wait till someone anoints me king. I'm going to put the crown on my own head.
Bam! I
Right?
love it.
Right? Like that's when you're a king. You don't wait for it.
Kiss the ring.
You know what I'm saying? You don't.
Memeology.
No, like you don't wait for it.
Nah,
You
man.
declare who you are, and
That's
then you
it.
live every day looking forward to it. But as a youth, you thought who you were, and you believed it.
Yes.
Where you said, "Man, I want to." Man, when you were younger, you were not contaminated.
No, exactly.
You were pure.
Yeah.
And then as you become older and you went through different experiences, whether they were positive or negative, that started to define you. But that wasn't really who you were.
They rubbed off on you.
They rubbed off of you. And now you don't even know who you are. You're searching for you. And that's why a lot of times they say you got to find yourself because you're lost.
Yeah.
So, and finding yourself is going to require you to go deep down in your internal self and to look into yourself and say, who really am I? Because until I find out and I ask my question, who I really am, how can I really answer the question? Most people have never answered the question of who they are. Who are you? Are you a person that's defined by the position that you hold? Are you defined by the toys or the houses that you have? Who are you? Without that, strip it all down of who you are. Who are you? Most people have never asked themselves that question at all. And that's where the youth is being lost because a child is always asking himself who I am and what do I want to be and who I can become. So that's why they're so joyful. And that's why they're smiling and they're cheerful. And they're like, man, the possibilities. And as we get older, we think about there's no possibilities, there's limitations because I'm older and I can't be that person.
And that's what you see. So if you're a young kid and you're seeing a 30-year-old saying, I can't do my dreams no more, then when you get to that age, it's natural inclination for you to feel like you can't. But the ones who win are the ones that look it in the face and go, you know what? No, I'm going to go for it. And the ones who are lucky, because we're actually lucky we have these conversations. Some people don't even get a glimpse of this. Some people are just stuck in where they're stuck, and that's the mindset they're around, and they don't know how to get some new information to do something new. You know, for us to even have the privilege of sitting here and having this conversation is a blessing because it allows us to even think differently, right?
Like everything is a privilege. Everything is a privilege. Everything that you do, every interaction, every time you talk to someone, every time I'm at the gym, I'm talking to some boy, some young kid, and he's 22 years old, 21 years old, 20 years old, 19 years old. And I can relate because he's like, man, that guy not, dang, he's different. He's a little bit, he still has a youthfulness to him.
Yep.
He doesn't say what I can't do. I say what I can. I never say I can't. I can learn anything I want in this world. If I want to be the number one, whatever, I will be. But it starts with the mind. And that's the thing that you allow someone else to take away your youth and steal it away from you because all of a sudden their perception of the world became your perception. Right? You started thinking, oh man, you can't do that. Well, now I can.
Yeah.
That perception started to wear off on you.
Mm-hmm.
So then that in turn told you that when you're an adult, that means people look at it as adult that you can't have dreams on. That's what they associate being adult with. You just got to do adult things, man. You got to go there, pay your bills. You got to do this. But you're not, no one ever associates being adult having fun. They always associate being adult trying to wish I was younger.
You brought up a great point, and a lot of these adults, they lose themselves in adulting, if you will, or being responsible, because that's pretty much what an adult is you have responsibilities. But one thing I want to say to people out there, doesn't matter if it's negative or positive, all of it comes to pass. All of it is behind you. It's here 1 minute, next minute it's gone. It's here, it's a very important 1 minute, and then fast forward 2 weeks, it doesn't even matter no more. So stop giving all your energy and your stress and allowing these things that are stressful today, knowing full well that they're not going to be here they're not even going to exist tomorrow. So don't give into that. You have the power to stay in control. You have the power to get what you want out of life. And when it comes to an adult keeping their youth, ask yourself what's important to you. What was important to you when you were a kid? Think of all the kids that had dreams, and then those bullies came along and said, "Fuck your dreams," and those kids' dreams died because there was a first time that someone was mean to them, and they got that experience and let that shit happen. And then when become adults, and someone says that, and we still allow that to happen again with everything we know, that's on us. That's not on them.
Just use it.
Yeah,
Use
man.
it, right? Use it. Like,
And you mentioned earlier about the importance of outside people, like
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah.
And it's very important.
But my whole thing is this. Sometimes we use it for a brief minute.
Yes.
Someone tells somebody they're fat. Okay, I'm gonna go to the gym and work out. And then after that dies down, then what?
Mhm.
Now it's gone.
right.
No, to me, it's like I don't need outside motivation.
Mm.
I don't need it because I already have it in. I look at myself and I say, that's who I am.
Yes.
I never cared about who you think I am. So when you're in these situations, when you're a youth, you seen yourself in a certain way. You did. You did. Because you didn't even have any life experience and you just saying anything. What do you want to be? I want to be a police officer. But deep down in your heart, that's what you wanted to be. You actually wanted to be a police officer because you weren't even distracted by other people's opinions of you. That's what you seen yourself as a youth. You seen yourself as a police officer or a fireman or whatever it is that you wanted to be. You seen yourself as that. So if you seen it, what stopped you from going to achieve it? Was it the people?
Mm.
Was it the obstacles? Was it that you just only wanted one solution, but you should have came up with more solutions? Those are the things that you got to think about. Why did I stop being who I was destined to be? And when did that stop? And then go back to it and say, is it too late? And I would say, no, it's never too late. You could be 80 years old and you can go back, and if you want to get a degree, you can go get one. Because there's been times where you've seen people do that.
Yeah.
You've seen people start a profession after they were working in another profession for 50 years because they recreated themselves. And they're
Mhm.
like, you know what? That job doesn't define who I am.
They never settled.
They never settle. Someone could say, you know what? You used to coach basketball, but you don't coach no more. But it's a redefining, like we talked about, even redefining myself, because guess what? I'm young and I still can do something different than I did previously. It's
Yeah.
almost like living different lives and having different chapters within your book. And each chapter has a different heading, not always the same.
Mm.
What's an exciting thought, and this is kind of on the left a little bit, still pertaining to the topic. But for now, we have resistance, right? For now, we have adults, quote unquote, telling you what you can and can't do, or people, looking up, and they don't have the best of role models to, be like, I can go for my dream, right? But eventually, because we do have individuals that are 80, 90 years old running marathons, or picking up a new degree, or climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, for example, you have more and more examples of older individuals breaking the rules, and that's helping us expand our minds. And now we're getting closer, and I would say even our podcast is a testament to how people want to help people more. This is I feel like this is where we're headed as a people. We're looking to provide more value, get closer to ourselves, and move forward. And one day a kid's going to be born, and they're going to look up, and the 30, 40, 50-year-old, they're still going to be youth, and they're not going to tell them what you can. And I don't know what that kid in that universe that grows up, what he's going to be able to accomplish, because he has that much, power bestowed on him. Like, there's nothing you can't do. And, all he sees is positivity. And maybe then we all work together as a species, as a race, in a different way that we have never even perceived of before.
And the thing is, if we think about this, see, everybody thinks about how I keep my youth, but that's a limiting factor for someone who's young. It is. Because they're like,
Right.
well, you're too young to do this.
Yeah.
Right? We're always saying what we can't do.
Yeah.
Or you're too old to do this, or you're too young to do this. So then you're wondering why the kid who was a youth is now trying to be an adult. Because now he feels like he's able to do something that he wasn't able to do. Instead of saying, You can do that and this, right? I can't. You could be the best businessman. You could be 14 years old. Who says you gotta wait? You don't gotta wait on anything. Like, who's saying that? Well, by the time you're 20 years old, you got. Who says you can't start now? Right? Who says that the person who's older can't do something that they should have done or they wanted to do when they were younger? Who says that? Well, I'm too old to go back to school now. If that was your deep desire to go there and get that degree or whatever it was, maybe to learn something, then go do it. Because who says that you can't? Because obviously if it's resonating with you and you're feeling it within you, then that's internally it's saying go do it. That's what it's saying. Listen to yourself and go do it. Because this is something that you've been wanting to do. Because one thing is, I learned about perspective, I learned about youth a lot. Because when I got to that final, when I got being sick and I was in the hospital and it was here and there, I just thought about what I could have done. That's all. Should have did that. Should have did that when I had a chance to do it. Should have poured everything into it. I should have done all these things. All these things that I thought I was going to do when I was young. Why didn't I do them now? Now I'm older. Now I'm like, man, I might not get a chance. So at any time that you have a chance to do something that you had a dream of when you were younger, so go back and reflect on the dreams that you had when you were a child, because we all had them at one point in time. Are you living them out? Is that child looking at you with disappointment in his eyes, or is he looking at there with excitement in his eyes because you're about to accomplish the thing that he's seen or dreamed of? Right? Are you looking at that individual? I'm looking at the individual when I was 4 years old, I was 7 years old, and I was 9 years old, and I said, I'm gonna make everybody proud. Why am I not doing that? Who stopped me? Who took it away? Who snatched the optimism in me? And how can I regain it?
Mm.
So when I went through what I went through, it was like I was reborn again. Because when you have a stem cell transplant, they say you're born again. So right now, presently, I'm like 2.5 years old. That's why I'm sucking up so much knowledge because I'm reborn again. Everything that happened before the cancer, all that doesn't mean that because I'm now youthful. And youthful is in my mind. Youthful is going to allow me to do things that you're like, man, how are you doing this at this age? Because I'm youthful.
Mm.
Don't ever let someone take away your dream. If I can tell anybody that's listening to this, don't let anybody take away your dream. Don't let them snatch it. Don't let them hold it. Don't let them do anything with it.
Mm.
Because when it's in their hands, they can destroy it. That's that's why you need to hold on to your dream. You need to keep your dream, keep protected, keep your thoughts pure, keep your heart soft. Because as we get older and we go through things, our heart becomes hardened. So what it does is when our heart becomes hardened, now the seeds are not able to be planted within your heart because it's too hard to receive. And that's what people associate with being an adult. They associate being an adult as being bitter, being old, being broken. I look at an adult as being having wisdom, having knowledge, having strength, having courage, because he's able to even go through this life that has been a troubling, there's trouble everywhere, and he's able to maneuver through the traps and get to the other side. That's how I look at it, someone who's older, who's kept their energy, who's kept their enthusiasm. You are able to navigate with your GPS, which is your internal self, avoid the traps that was going to take you out. Avoid them, hop over them, learn from them, and now you're the person that you're supposed to be.
Mm.
So that's youth. That's using your youth. That's not saying it's been taken away, because how is it taken away when you're at the finish line? You did a great job. So when I even talk about the youth, I'm kind of, you know, talking about something else. But when we talk about the youth, I look at my uncle when my uncle was in the funeral home. When I look at him, I didn't think he was old. I thought he was reborn. That's not taken away from you. Nothing can be taken. Your youth cannot be taken away because guess what? When we leave this place, we're going to somewhere else. So how is it taken away? It's actually congratulated. It's actually you graduate. You graduated to the person that you're supposed to be, but you're still young because we have the ability to reverse hands and reverse time. This time is not infinite. It's not defined. can do many. So that's why I say when I look at it, when you're going through the journey of life, are you allowing those things, those obstacles, those pitfalls, those negative comments, those things to turn you into a person that you don't want? And if you're able to do that, you won in the game of life. Because you're still, even though all these things that were trying to take your youth, you maintain it through so-called adulting. That's youth.
What I take up what you just said, not trying to steal any
No,
thunder or
no,
nothing,
no.
but being an adult is an opportunity. And that's the thing. If you looked at being an adult as more of an opportunity rather than a hindrance
Mm.
or a burden, opportunity to have a collection, a combination of a variety of fruits of life on your plate.
Mm.
If you look at it like that, being an adult ain't so damn bad.
One last thing, right? Great point. When you talked about fruit. So when you're talking about fruit, you think about this. When you're a youth, the fruit is not ripe. As you get older, the fruit is more ripe.
Yeah.
And as the fruit becomes more ripe, it becomes more sweet. So as you become older, you become more sweet.
Yeah.
Right? You become more enjoyable.
You hear that, ladies?
Mason for life, Mason for but you know, another thing which you got both made incredible point was while you're in your youth, you don't even have the tools to change the world. You know what I mean? Like there's so many, there's laws, there's, you know what I mean? There's so many, like people don't look at you a certain way. If you're trying to lift weights, you don't got the strength at 12. You don't, you know? You're gonna have the strength at 24, 25 as you get older. So as you grow older and you get more wisdom as you even grow older than that. So you're basically getting riper, yes. And you have the tools to now live out the dream you once had as
Mm.
you know, and I believe it's our job to do so.
We are the caterpillar, and then you have an opportunity to grow into a butterfly.
Right.
And that's an opportunity. Some caterpillars don't make it to butterflies. So if you make it to one, don't think about the time that you have left.
Yeah.
Enjoy the time that you have.
So if you're listening, you're a caterpillar. All right. And you know, still be a butterfly. So so guys, that's another episode of Thrive Talks. It was a great one. I believe it was the longest one that we've done together. But yeah, we'll be back next week for another one. Peace.
Peace.